So my good friend Codex was gracious enough to surprise me and lent me his copy of NASCAR 21 Ignition to check out for a few days in the waning hours of my birthday. So that was really nice of him. Thanks, Codex. Do not buy this game. Based on my experience in the racing simulator industry as a QA guy, I can only speculate that this game was forced to be released in an unfinished, unpolished state due to contractual obligations. Do not be manipulated into going onto Twitter and reporting various major and minor bugs to the developer. This is gaslighting. Every dev, big and small, has a QA team as well as a giant bug tracking database. I can assure you everything you're about to see has already been reported by the dev team. They don't need your help. It's a lie to placate angry customers. I have serious questions about how this game passed the Microsoft and Sony certification checks due to the wide variety of app instability issues which we just ran into there, as well as the several game-breaking bugs. Anyway, let's get the show on the road. This is a 25% distance race at Talladega Superspeedway. Extreme difficulty, all assists turned off, tire wear turned on, yellow flags turned on. We are driving as Brad Keselowski with a Logitech G29 racing wheel. I'm having to play catch-up to list all of the bugs we've seen in half a lap at Talladega Superspeedway. For starters, there's a heads-up display box at the start of the race that tells you to stay behind the car in front of you as if you're driving manually under yellow. I don't know why motorsport games didn't disable this. You can't drive the car under yellow. There's no tire wear gauge. There's no fuel gauge. There's no track map. There's no rear view mirror you can toggle on and off. None of the buttons on your steering wheel do anything. I have to reach over to my keyboard and press, V to change view, or X to change my pit options, which is just bizarre. If you look at the spotter subtitles at the bottom of the screen, the spotter is broken. He just raps 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, 3-2 over and over again anytime you're side by side with the car. So the spotter's fucked. So already it's taken me a lap to point out just every weird issue unrelated to, the physical gameplay on the racing surface. So let's talk about that now. The AI in this game are pretty brutal. Just like R Factor 2, they have a tendency to clump around what has been defined by the developer as the best line or the preferred line on the track. So what ends up happening, and this isn't just a Talladega thing, but this is at all tracks in the game, they will usually leave about a lane to a lane and a half open for you to just drive around them, which is what I'm doing right now. So without any drafting help at all, I'm able to pass massive chunks of the AI with little to no effort, and after rolling off either 39th or 40th on the grid, we're already up to 15th in 2 laps, and, there's still more spots to come, obviously. Just by dipping a little bit into the draft wake of the car in front of me, and then making use of what's basically an exit route along the top of the track, there is no challenge to the pack racing, which is really disappointing because usually restrictor plate racing, or we should call it super speedway racing now, in NASCAR games is basically the best pick-up and play experience in sim racing. It takes no skill, you just put the pedal to the floor and follow the guy in front, and just crazy shit happens all the time. Here, I'm basically not even trying, and I'm just rolling by the AI on the highest difficulty. This is just really disappointing, really poor first impression. I'm not inclined to ever race at this track again if it's really this easy. But it's opening night, I'm going to see through this race to the end, and just whatever happens, happens. And I don't want to spoil things for you, but a lot of shit's going to happen, and that's why this video is about 15 minutes long. Our spotter has had an unusually high dose of ketamine. He is obsessed with numbers 3 and 2 and will not shut up about them on the radio, making the spotter pretty much useless, but thankfully the AI have left this entire exit lane up along the top of the racetrack alone, and that is my path to the front of the pack with little to no resistance from the rest of the AI cars, making this very, very boring to participate in. And even the speed discrepancy, it's not just the fact that the entire lane has been left open for me, but the AI are constantly having to check up for each other in this big pack, which is just extremely unrealistic, not how these races play out, and very disappointing to see after 2 years of this game being in development. We're going to fast forward a few laps as the pack has started to thin out and I've switched to a more hardcore driving view. This is the proper cockpit view in the game with the steering wheel disabled. Our running order is a bit strange. It's Harvick and Almirola leading, Anthony Alfredo in third, and the rest of the top 10 consists of journeyman drivers and 2D girl enthusiasts such as Cody Ware. I am trying to push Anthony Alfredo to the front of the pack, even dealing with a shaky camera, but he is all over the place, cannot hold a line, and we are not catching the cars in front of us. This is identical to an issue found in NASCAR Sim Racing 2005, where the AI, when you try and bump draft them, wander all over the place. Unfortunately, it is still in this game 16 years later. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. So I very quickly ditched the idea of partnering up with various AI cars. because they were just not receptive to bump drafting. I tried it one more time here with Harvick. Again, he just shook me off his bumper and started weaving all over the place. So that idea was out the window in favor of just me running the top by myself. This exposed another massive issue in this game. Look in my mirror. Do you notice how there's like 5 or 6 cars lined up along the bottom? Why are they not catching me? Why am I pulling away from them? The AI cars in this game aren't able to draft with each other. Like, draft effects aren't applied to them. What the fuck? Like, how do we fuck this up? Anyway, skipping ahead, because of this, I've pulled out like a 5-second lead on the AI, and I'm bored to tears, and I'm starting to lap people at the back of the pack. I don't know why cars are this far behind this early in the race. We're only about 20 laps in, and then the yellow comes out. Lots to unpack here. I opt to change my pit options because, you know, it's time to take fuel anyway. The caution menu says this is the final stage of the race, even though stage racing isn't in the game, so it's referencing a feature not in the game. As I scroll through the pit menu with the arrow keys, the down arrow simultaneously acts as a look behind button, so like the view keeps looking behind, and when I confirm my options, the AI takes over my car and drives me straight into the wall. And it's not done yet. Instead of the game skipping forward to the restart sequence, which it should, the AI continues to drive my car and drives right into traffic, and I get clobbered by like 5 people who are still racing at speed, even though the caution should be out and everyone should have slowed down. When I respawn like 40 miles an hour off pace, and like 10 cars go by me. So, I think I'm fucked. Then we actually take the green and I get control of my car, which the game doesn't tell me I have control of my car because the developers didn't code in the box to tell me I have control of my car again. And at this point, I think the race is pretty much over until I start driving and realize, no, my car's fine. I have an unrealistic damage, and I've got some warning lights on the heads-up display, but I'm not any slower than I used to be. In fact, I'm actually catching the car in front of me, and I'm running my race pace, just as I was, you know, before I got in this really stupid wreck. So I'm just confused at this point, but I've already sunk like 20 minutes into this race. I'm already halfway through. There's really no point in quitting out now, so I figure let's just keep driving and just see what happens, because, like, maybe it'll all iron itself out. Maybe there'll be another yellow to re-rack everybody, and to some extent I'm right. Vaguely. Anyway, check out the AI here. They all try and enter the pits at 180 miles an hour, all miss pit lane. The game throws another yellow, so I'm like, okay, I will go into the pits, and I will fix my car, because it looks stupid with all the fenders flapping around, so I'll take 4 tires and fuel. Great. The pit stop sequence has these ugly black bars because it wasn't, you know, properly formatted for ultra-wide monitors, so that looks great. Then when I respawn, I spawn like 20 car lengths behind the entire pack. Not only that, but the running order in the top left is like all sorts of janky. I never went a lap down through all of this. I'm suddenly now like 30th place. So I have no idea how I've like not just lost a lap, but fallen down like almost through the entire field. I don't get what's going on. Anyway, another set of back markers comes upon me, and I figure, hey, like, close to the end of the race anyway, let's just see what happens. I'm hitting the same revs I did at the start of the race, 8,200 RPM in the corner. I figure, let's just run this out. So there's a pack that consists of Joey Gase, Bubba Wallace, and Quinn Houff, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to tuck in behind these guys, because this car's running okay still. I don't really understand the running order. I don't know why I'm 24th. I really don't know what's going on at this point, other than there's like maybe 10 laps to go. But I will tuck in behind these cars and see what happens. And it turns out I am just on rails at this point. My car is destroyed. I'm on realistic damage. I confirmed that in the options menu, and I showed you guys that at the start of this video. The car is acting like it has no damage at all. The hood is like awkwardly flapping around and like clipping inside the engine model, and we are flying up on the lead pack. In fact, we're hitting really good revs here. And once again, all I have to do is just go to the high side, to the exit lane I outlined earlier in the video, and a completely destroyed Ford Mustang, I am just a rocket ship next to the pack. I mean, it's effortless to pass them. Once I get through that cluster of cars, I am now chasing down the leaders all by myself without drafting help, the pack led by Kurt Busch. As far as I'm concerned, this is the battle for the win. I have no idea why I've fallen down to 17th place, other than scoring loop glitches under yellow, which shouldn't be there, and just look at the run I'm getting with a destroyed car on the front runners on extreme difficulty. Nothing outside my windshield makes sense right now, but I'm able to blow by this pack of cars that are somewhat in a line or aligned with each other that should be benefiting from the draft all by myself. So your leaders consist of Kurt Busch, Tyler Reddick, William Byron, Michael McDowell, Eric Almirola, all in the line. And then there's me with a destroyed Ford Mustang. And I'm holding my own on the outside line. I'm gaining ground actually on Kurt Busch here. And out of this corner, for whatever reason, he just checks up, which again is a common idiosyncrasy of the R-Factor 2 engine. I gain an even bigger run on Kurt, and I'm able to drag race him down the front straightaway. This isn't for the win, obviously. You can see the lap counter on the dash with about 6 to go, but I should not have been able to do this. I don't know why this is working. Obviously, you can see my car is just fucked. It's smoking. The warning lights on the dash have gone away. The water temperature and oil temperature have gone back to, normal values. I don't even know what to say here. And I'm just walking away from the field. Skipping ahead to the end of race sequence, I don't even know what to say. The spotter gives me some lingo about we need to pit in a few laps, but like the race is over. The black bars have returned because this game isn't optimized for ultra-wide monitors. This is a fucking mess. This is going to cause serious issues for this company to release a product like this. Completely unacceptable. Do not buy this game. This is what happens when you try and run just one race.